Something is missing. These are the values, the virtues, and so forth that the man and the woman must hold between themselves if they were to talk about, really to talk about love. And in one sense, every level of love comes out of the level before it. And all of these are the minan from Allah. These are the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Intimacy, concord, affection, congeniality. They give rise to what? The next step. What's the next step? Attachment. Attachment. Ta'alluq. A kind of way of cherishing or treasuring, be it of Allah or of the worldly other. At this stage, the lover is granted a sip of the pure taste of love. Shaykh Sidi Abu Hassan al-Shadili, Qadassallahu Sirah, who our Shaykh said, when he was asked about that, he said, love is something that is given by Allah to the heart of his slave, which distracts him from anything else other than him, to the point when you see your lower self inclining to him, you see your intellect protecting itself by spiritual knowledge of him, you see your spirit is wrapped in his presence, you see the inner secret soul of your being is overwhelmed in contemplation of him, and then you ask for more. And more is given. And you enter into the sweetest of delights, which is spiritual communion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is clad, that person like that, in clothes that befit the approach to him upon the carpet of closeness and proximity. And he comes into contact with virgin reality and revealed science. And for that reason it is said that the awliya of Allah are the brides of Allah. Those who questioned said to the Shaykh, now I got a taste of it. Tell me, what is this drink? This sharab? What is this drink? What is the cup that it comes in? Who is the cupbearer? Who is the saki? What is the tasting? What is the drinking? What is drunkenness? What is intoxication? What is sobriety? I want to know about all those things. And now I'm tasting it. I got it. Tell me about these things. He says, the drink, the sharab of love, is the distillation of the subtle essence of the lutf, the mercy of Allah that brings light into contact with the lips of the heart. The cupbearer, the saki, is he who befriends the greatest of the elect, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the righteous ones from among the slaves of Allah. He is Allah, the one who knows the capacities and the affairs of his friend. If there's anybody gets to see that beauty, he enjoys it for one breath or two, the veil is dropped over and he becomes a dhawak, he becomes a taster, and for the rest of his life, all he wants is another taste of that love. If you get one taste of it, that's all you want. If he continues for an hour or more drinking from the cup of love, he becomes a sharab, a drinker. And if the experience becomes continuous, and he drinks and drinks and drinks until the very veins become filled with the lights of Allah, then this is called tukhma, the repletion in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then one becomes unconscious of sense, unconscious of mental perceptions. So that is a person who's a drunkard. And sometimes the cups go between the people, and states differ. And they're turned back from oblivion to dhikr, from ghafla to dhikr, and from ahwal to furud. All these things, they're not veiled. That's why sometimes they talk to people, say they castigate us Sufi people, because sometimes when this comes through us, we can't differentiate anymore between anything, because this love of Allah fills us to such we don't know between this and that. We're intoxicated by it in that state. But then he says, there comes a time, finally, of the sobriety, in which from all of this, what happens is that your vision of the world changes. Once you've tasted, once you know that no plane ever fell into the Pentagon, never went into the Pentagon wall. Once you know that, you'll never look at this government again the same ever. Once you know that, where's the titanium from the engines? How come the lampposts aren't clipped? How come the hole is this small and the plane is that big? What Simpson said, if the glove don't fit, you can't convict. Huh? Once you know that, you're going down the rabbit hole. You'll never believe them again, because they lied to you. They lied to you about the thing which has changed all of our lives and brought us so much. Every time you go to the airport, every time you turn around as a Muslim, we're afflicted by this thing that supposedly happened that never happened, the way they said it happened. Mean what? Mean once you see the truth, the world is different. The world looks different. Once you've experienced this kind of love, the world is totally different. Who can give you anything? Who can bribe you? Who can corrupt you? Who can give you money for something? What can they give you? Nothing. What can you give me? Nothing. There's nothing you can give me. I don't want what you have to give me, unless you can give me that. If you can give me that, okay. If you can't give me that, don't talk to me. You have nothing to give me. You have nothing I want. That's the thing. This is what happened to the people. This is what he said. This is sobriety. The sobriety comes, it broadens the vision and the understanding of the world. It increases the capacity for what you can do, for the work that you can do, because you see the truth. And so, by the stars of knowledge, by the moon of unity, people are guided across the night, and by the sun of the spiritual knowledge, they attain to light. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu'an. Ulaika hizbullah. Ala inna hizballahi humul muflihun. Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Him. These are the people of Allah. It is the people of Allah who are successful. Thus do the lovers get attached to the beloved until they cry out, "Oh my beloved, what is life without you?" To live outside of your presence is to live a life of death. To live outside of this love is to live a life in a prison. Though you give me money, though you give me cars, though you give me buildings, though you give me palaces, though you give me clothes, you give me everything, you give me nothing. Because there's nothing without your love, Allah. Nothing. There's nothing. It's like anything, like what they say, painted cakes have no flavor. They have no taste. You can't eat a painted cake. But once you've tasted this love, that's why he says, anybody who's tasted it, that's all they want forever, to taste it again. That's all they live for. Where can I go to get another taste of that? Because that's the best thing I ever had in my life. Because that's the only thing that satisfies. That's the only thing that gives life meaning. It's the only thing that gives life realization. That's all that there really is that love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walking in a dusty lane, somebody calls my beloved's name, but my coat is torn, and tears betray me, and I am totally lost. And at this stage, the heart of the lover becomes tender, becomes pliable, becomes soft. One is now no longer searching for the beloved, but is fearful of losing the beloved. It's the beginning of what will become an increasing case of helplessness and hopelessness. One knows beyond a doubt that there's no one, there's nowhere, there's only the beloved, and wherever the beloved is the only place to be, and whatever comes from the beloved is the only thing that has any value. This is called lutf. To be delicate, to be refined, to be elegant, to be graceful, to be gentle, to be gracious, to be courteous, to be kindly, to be subtle, to know the obscurities of all affairs, to treat with regard for circumstances, to be the most soothing and the most refined, to treat with kindness, with goodness, with gentleness, benevolence, affection. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Latif, the most subtle one, the inexpressible one, the unfathomable one, the one who knows the delicate meaning of everything, who creates things most subtly, which cannot be understood by people, and who gives blessings to people in the most subtle ways. One story is once told by Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi about Majnun, the lover of Layla, the mad lover of Layla. And he found Majnun in the street, and he found Majnun petting a dog. And those who found him, they berated him and said, "Ya Majnun, how do you pet, this filthy animal that's impure and clean?" And Majnun says, "You see but a picture on the wall. Look further. Spend the night with me. See through my eyes. This is the gift from my Lord. This is no mere dog. This is the dog that lives on the street where Layla lives." Another lover says, "When I first entered into the presence of the beloved, I lost sight of this world. I lost sight of the next world. And now my time is spent with the beloved, and I have cut off my connection with the entire universe." Shaykh Muzaffar Ozak Jarahi Qaddasallahu Sirruhu says, the life of this world is transitory and fleeting, O Muslims. The greatest investment for permanent and eternal life is faith and faith alone. Its worship and His obedience and His love for Allah, exalted is He. We came from Allah, to Allah we return. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Therefore those who possess intelligence, those who have conscience, those who have the common sense, never let it out of their minds for one moment that it is He who in every way is worthy of being loved. It is He is the beloved. They regard His service as the true kingship, to be His slave, and to long to be with Him in every breath. They love what He loves, they hate what He hates, they blame what He blames, and praise what He praises. That's what He said. Wow. These are the people who He has prescribed as a burden, a heavy duty, the people of Lutf. Those people are penetrated by the pure distillation of the essence of mercy, and know that they have been honored to be admitted to His presence by His command. So delicate and tender have these people become that the slightest whisper of a command or a hint from the Beloved is enough, where He says, proclaim the praise of your Lord in the night and the declining of the stars. Watch and pray in the depths of the night. When He commands, glorify your Lord in the watches of the night, they hear and they obey, and they get up in the night and they chant and they pray. And He says further, he who is obedient in the watches of the night, prostrating himself, standing up, afraid of the world to come, hoping for the mercy of the world, then you find the lover sunk deep into prostration, bowing before Him, standing in His presence. O Allah, whose tender kindness to every creature is all-prevailing, whose goodness reaches every worshipper, do not remove us from this circle of tender mercy and secure us from every fear. The heart listens, strung on a thread for whatever it is He has to say. Everything the lover sees, like Majnun's dog, reminds him of the one who is beloved, the one beloved. A word, a glance, a smile, a breeze, the twinkle of a star, a summer night street, the honeysuckle on the breeze, unseen voices on late night porches, notes from a distant radio, a floating refrain, and the blind Shaykh wails, and all these things remind me of you.
The law.
Now does ishq or ardor come to possess the soul. Now comes the beginnings of ravishment. In the long hours of the night, the heart is emptied and drained of everything but the Beloved. And in the crowd of the beloveds of this world and the next, I gaze at your face alone, and I am the slave of your face alone. And I speak not of the gardens of Eden, nor do I speak of the smell of the sweet flowers. I only speak about you, for there is no one but you. And the great Shaykh Ibrahim ibn Adam, who said he was born a prince and he gave up his kingdom, he said, what is that? And once undertaking the Hajj, he made an agreement with one of his traveling companions that if either of them to see the other one to do something wrong, they would speak to each other about it. And they came into Mecca, may Allah preserve it. And they saw a handsome man, handsome young man. And Ibrahim continued to look at this young man. And his companion promptly warned him, saying, remind you of the agreement. And Ibrahim said to him, he said, he was my only son. And he was separated from me while I was still a youth. And I have seen him now after 30 years. His friend said, go to him. He says, no, I gave him up for the sake of Allah. And I shall not take back what I gave up for him. And he said, for the sake of your love, I have forsaken this world, beholding you. I am sore with grief and longing for my wife and my children. But even though every limb of my body be dismembered, and even then would my heart turn to none but you. And Sayyida Rabia Adawiyya radiallahu ta'ala anha says, there is no sin that is greater than my existence. La ilaha illallah. Love is the flame that when it blazes up, consumes everybody but the Beloved.